Hi friends, welcome back to Bucketheadzz. I've got a special review for you today. Not exactly a popcorn bucket, but this week I was able to pick up this beauty from my local KFC. It's a commemorative crypto bucket that's being released ahead of the Supergirl premiere next week. There's quite a bit to talk about here, so without further ado, let's get to the lab. First off, let me clarify, when they originally announced this thing, I thought we were getting a topper that went inside a traditional paper bucket. When I was a kid, I remember people going wild for the flying bucket toppers that were part of the episode 1 release for Star Wars. They were basically just embossed frisbees that came on top of your bucket of chicken. What we have here is a little different. It's a full Snapco bucket with a very heavy sculpted crypto bursting through a molded top. I have to say, the level of detail on Krypto the Superdog is pretty charming, although it's disappointing they didn't do more to eliminate the seams in the mold, especially noticeable on his ears. This topper actually clicks into place under a retaining strip and has similar finger notches to a traditional KFC bucket. The difference here is that the bucket actually retains the lid, which makes it a little harder to open, especially if, like me, you have weaker hands. And even worse, when I was replacing the lid, I made the mistake of using the finger notches to push down, and I actually ended up pinching my finger just a little bit. Not enough to draw blood, but enough to hurt, which is unfortunate. The bucket itself is nothing special. You've got the iconic Colonel and KFC letters on one side, a splash image from the Supergirl movie on the reverse side, and the red and white stripes around the entirety of the bucket. Because this comes from a food retailer and not a movie theater, the X factor here is a bit different. I can see this having a lot of appeal to DC Comics fans, dog lovers, as well as bucketheads like me. But I could also see that because the corporate branding is so prevalent, this is not the kind of thing you want to pop on your shelf. So for me, it personally misses a little bit on the X Factor front, but that's because of how much it costs more than its quality or its makeup. Like I was saying, the real disappointing thing about this bucket is the price. Now, I might be hallucinating, but when I remember those flying toppers from the Phantom Menace, I remember them always being sold with food. So the fact that this is a Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket for $30, sans chicken, does not only feel like a missed opportunity, it just feels plain weird. I mean, any popcorn bucket you get from the theaters will come filled with popcorn unless you say no. And at my local theaters, they'll still give you the popcorn in a separate bag if you tell them you don't want your novelty bucket filled. So $30 for what amounts to a very nice topper and a kind of lackluster plastic bucket that isn't even microwave safe feels kind of like a mild mugging. In addition, while the figure on the topper is absolutely adorable, the rest of the topper could have been so much better. Like, why do we need this sort of torn paper around Krypto that doesn't make any visual sense? Is it his cape? Is he breaking out of a Superman branded cardboard box? I think the idea here was that he was breaking out of a paper tub, but because the tub itself is plastic, the texture around the topper and the texture of the bucket don't match, which means the whole thing doesn't make any visual sense. Additionally, even though the Krypto himself is well sculpted, where his body emerges from the topper, there could have been vent holes for the non-existent chicken, but instead it's just a plain black sticker that is very obvious in certain lights. On the practicality front, there's not much to say here. It's a perfectly functional bucket and topper. And if you wanted to take this thing into the theater, it would very easily hold a large popcorn or 8 pieces of non-existent chicken. KFC, if you're listening to this, I just need to say, you are a chicken joint, not a hobby shop. Sell your commemorative buckets with chicken, please, or at least with a coupon to drive customers back. If you don't, the new marketing campaign for your competitors won't be "Where's the beef?" It'll be "Where's the chicken?" Well, anyways, that's a digression. Back to the review. It may sound like it, but I'm actually really not down on this thing. The reality is, it's pretty simple. It's a KFC bucket with Supergirl branding and a really cute crypto topper, which is great if you're into that sort of thing. Well, anyways, guys, that's the review. Thanks for sticking around. Like it if you liked it. Subscribe if you didn't like it, and join the Bucket Brigade today.